technology, methodology, in the way we're actually designing today. And this project is called the Copenhagen Wheel. It's a project we did for the city of Copenhagen. The mayor came to us with a precise question, say, how can this technology help us with traffic? So we all went to Copenhagen, and to the surprise of many American students, we all found this condition. You know, most of you know about it, that Copenhagen is a city where traffic means a lot of bicycle. It's a city where 30 to 50% of all trips every day are actually done by bicycle. So we started working on it, and we came up with this idea.
Welcome to the Copenhagen Wheel. The wheel that turns your ordinary bike into a smart electric hybrid. Quickly and easily, with no additional batteries or wires. The Copenhagen Wheel allows you to capture the energy dissipated while braking and cycling, and save it when you need a bit of a boost. Controlled through your smartphone, the Copenhagen Wheel becomes a natural extension of your everyday life. The Copenhagen Wheel is your personal trainer, sensing your effort level and providing you with real-time feedback about your fitness and exercise goals. The Copenhagen Wheel also enhances your experience in the city. It connects you with things the cyclist wants to know: upcoming traffic congestion, road conditions, and pollution levels. Choose to keep your data, or share it with your friends and other cyclists through social networks like Facebook. As you ride, you also collect green miles. It's similar to a frequent flyer program, but good for the environment. Elegant, responsive, smart. A new mode of transport for a rapidly changing world. So turn on your life and turn on the city. The Copenhagen Wheel.
So this is the idea. So basically, how we can actually very easily turn a bicycle into a hybrid bicycle. You brake, you get your energy, and then you get it back. And then you also do these things about data that you heard in the video. But what I'd like to share with you is actually how the project came about. And then because we think that this is telling us something about how the world of design and architecture and media are actually coming together in a different way. Now, we started by looking at the problem of traffic in Copenhagen, had an initial workshop with students, and came up with several ideas, including one that was about this funny-looking wheel that didn't have almost any technical details in it, but was supposed to do something like that, to collect your energy and then give it back to you. Well, when you have an idea, you don't know if it works or doesn't work, then the best thing is just, let's try it out. So then we had the first sketches, we put together some different pieces, combined them with the model all together, and here was the first wheel. Didn't look too sexy, but it was working. And here was the wheel at MIT, and here was the wheel with the mayor of Copenhagen. She liked it, so she said, okay, let's go ahead. So then we get back to the drawing board, started thinking again about what we wanted to do. And here you see the brief again, so how we can get something that's easily retrofitted, regenerative braking, intelligent locking, and so on, the other things you heard in the video. We went back to designing it in a different way. You see the choice of the motor, selecting it, putting everything together, combining it inside the hub. And then, so far we had the involvement of designers and also electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, and a few others. But then we had to design other components. For instance, to connect this with the rim outside. So here is the first idea we had. Didn't look very good, actually. Then the second idea looked a bit better, but it wasn't working. As you see, the torque is not transmitted from the center to the outside. Then, we had this idea of, can we have actually spokes that from the rim go to the hub, turn, intention, and go back without any connection. And some people thought it would work, some people thought it wouldn't work. So again, the best thing is, let's try it out. Here is the first prototype made of cardboard. Then it's very easy to prototype. In Torino, there's the first Italian Fab Lab, where you've got a lot of digital machines, like laser cutters, 3D printer. So you can do this thing very quickly in a few hours. This is 3D printer, so you got a printer that does this for you, quite strong. And then we had to put everything together, try to put the spokes. He was very skeptical, as you see. He think it wouldn't work, but actually it was working, so that became the way to do the spoking. And then, some other people became involved to design the interface. It's user interaction designers in graphics to do this and understand how you can control this with your phone. And then, we also want to do the data collection, as you saw. And people, they do data collection like this. But, that's not what we wanted to do, so we went to other type of sensors that could measure CO, NOx, noise, distance with the wheel. And the interesting thing is that when you put just a few bicycles in the city, then you get a lot of information about air quality like this. Well, today the problem is that big cities have usually few monitoring stations, but they tell you little about the air quality around the city. For instance, you might recall that in Madrid, the previous mayor kept mentioning that actually air quality was getting better and better, till when citizens found out it was taking the stations and moving them more and more inside parks. In an alternative, here if you have this information, you can actually, from the bicycle, each bicycle become a way to collect data, in this case about air quality, and then share it with others. And then we had to build the prototypes, so here you can see a few of them, how they came together, how everything was programmed, was packed, and then, sent to Copenhagen where the mayor wanted to show it. And here you see the first prototype. We actually now done 2 rounds more of engineering, and there's a new company there's a spin-off that got recently venture capital funds to actually take this into production. And here you can see actually the mayor of Copenhagen and the mayor of Toronto trying the bicycle. And as we are approaching the end of time, I wanted just to share with you a few thoughts about how we think architecture is changing. And now, we used to think about knowledge as something like this, where we could actually put everything in the right spot. It was still the old St. Thomas idea of the summa. You could actually systematize everything. But we know today that that's not the case anymore. We know today that knowledge looks more like this. That's a map that was on the cover of Science magazine, where 800,000 papers were taken, and all the links between them mapped. And you see these beautiful links happening between very different disciplines, between brain research, industrial physics, and computer science, and social sciences. How everything is really connecting with everything else, like we do online, and like things are on the internet. This is an article in Nature, another scientific journal, where they actually saw that the top papers in the past usually were by one person, one author in one discipline. And by top papers, they use the impact factor, which is a measure of how many papers cite those papers. It's almost like the likes on Facebook. Now, today actually top papers are usually by many authors from many different disciplines. And we believe that something like this is actually happening as well in design. Design used to be like this. That's one of the most important images of architecture of the past century. That's Le Corbusier presenting his plan for Paris. His plan was quite simple. It was actually demolish most of the city, all of the city, just leave a few things like Notre Dame to remind people of the past, and actually replace everything with his beautiful new towers. And you see the hand of Le Corbusier, the hand of the architect, almost like the hand of God, from the top down, giving this design to the people. And people even said, that we couldn't design collaboratively. There's a saying in English that goes, camel is a horse designed by a committee. So if you got a committee, if you got more people, you will not end up with a beautiful horse, you will end up with a camel. Well, we know now that that's not the case. Now we've seen beautiful things that came up actually by doing things bottom up. We know how things work on Wikipedia. We know how things work on the web. We've seen incredible things for the past few years. Actually, for over the past 20 years, we went from the physical world to the digital world. That's what Google and everybody else did. Over the past 3, 4, 5 years, what we've seen is actually the opposite. How we can go from the self-organizing power of the digital world back to the physical one. That's what we saw in the Obama campaign, that's what we saw in the Occupy movement, that's what we saw in the Arab Spring, plus many other cases. And that's what we are seeing more and more in architecture. And this is an article we did in Domus, an editorial for an issue on open source architecture, how actually architecture can become much more collaborative and bottom-up. Actually, Joseph Grima, the editor of Domus, came to me and asked me if I could write it. I said, sure, I could write an editorial, but if it is about open source architecture, let's actually do it together. And so we started writing it on Wikipedia with Paolo Antonelli and Hansu Recobris and Nicolas Negroponte and many others. Actually, the article is still evolving on Wikipedia. If you go on it, you can actually keep on tracking it and see how it has changed since the initial version on Domus. And actually, that is also the topic of a book that will come out with now the next year on open source architecture. Joseph and I are working on. But now, Domus, when you write an editorial, they usually want